we both resonate and bounce off ideas off each other, and we
Mhm.
always talk reality. Our students need to hear this. Our colleagues need to hear this. Everything that I've realized as an artist over
Mhm.
time, I wish
Mhm.
I would have had all of this information years and years
Oh,
ago.
yes,
And it's
yes.
like, I
Mhm.
would have loved to had this information 20, 15 years ago. At this point, I would have the lifestyle that I want. And
Yeah.
so,
And you're not the only one. You're not the only one. The same
right.
thing you're looking for, a lot of people out there are also looking for that. That lifestyle that would allow us to create art and to live the life that we want to live.
Exactly, a lifestyle based around an authentic creation. We're not creating for our colleagues. Having worked for academic institutions, your creative output is catered to, okay, is that going to get me tenure in the future? Or is that going to get me clout in these circles? Is that going to get me a promotion? And
Right. Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
let go of all of that with your
Mhm.
help. You're an amazing coach, by the way.
But Liza, you have helped me too. So it's both ways. It's not just like I've helped people to get to where I am right now. I have had my father, teachers, coaches, myself to move forward and learn and be where I am. And then when I met you, it's like my mind was blown away. It's like this is a true friend that is smart, that is bright, that is always looking forward to create something new, and I have also learned a lot from you. So thank you for that.
Well, I'm honored, Laura, that
I mean it.
you've gotten something out of this relationship. Sometimes I feel like I'm always taking, and you're
We
such a
sometimes feel
giving
like that.
person.
Yeah, we sometimes feel like that. And that's normal when you have questions, because we always have questions. So you always have questions about this or that. Who can I ask? Oh, that person might know. And then you forget that you also give. I love my students because I feel that I have also learned from them. So that's a kind of relationship that I will never give up anything for that.
You should not be like everybody else, and that's what is the beautiful thing about creatives, that this is who I am. And that's why in my head I tell my students and everybody, there's no competition, because what you have here and
Yes.
here, just don't think, oh my god, like sometimes I was talking to a couple of writers yesterday and saying, I have to make sure that they don't write my piece. I shared a little bit of my poems, but I want to make sure that nobody, like, what you have inside of you, nobody can get. So
Yes.
that thing that I learned in journalism with plagiarism, and be careful, because if you copy somebody else, and if they copy you, and it's like, it's whatever is inside of you, it's inside of you and will go with you until you die. That's the way I
Right.
think. So I'm not afraid of creating and sharing with others my creation. So what I write, or in your case, what you build,
You
because
have no competition. Laura, a teacher of mine as an undergrad tried to tell me that. By the way, guys, if you don't know, my degree is in music composition. And to get a degree in music composition, get cred as a teacher later, because I wanted to teach composition. I wanted to be in academia because I thought that academia would give me the freedom to compose whatever I want, whenever I want to go as crazy. That's not the case. But going beyond that, um, this teacher tried to tell me, it's like, who are you competing against and why? And I didn't understand him, because I'm like, what do you mean? Who am I competing with? I have to win this competition, or this to get cred, to put this on my CV, to I have to win this grant so people respect me in these circles and these circles, so that I could maybe get a full-time job at a school, and maybe get tenure one day. And yet, because tenure is how people know that you are respected as an artist. um
but tenure is also the limit, and I want no
yeah.
limits in my life.
And then I remember I was sitting in a composition forum in And a friend of mine, and I will never forget this, I felt so bad afterward. A friend of mine was trying to make a point in, because we were having a group discussion as a class. He said something on the lines, why are we competing? That is not, this shouldn't be a competitive field. And I literally laughed in his face, literally. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is the name of the game, is competition. It wasn't until now, years later, that I did apologize to him because I saw that I was being
You were
nasty.
thinking of ABBA. It's the name of the game.
After many trials and tribulations and change
Mhm.
of path and change of philosophy,
Mhm.
change of lifestyle, I realized what those two people were trying to say. And it's so interesting that you brought that back in almost the same exact words that they said. It's like, who are you competing against? This is not a competition. Being an artist is not a competition. You're not competing against anyone. You are so, if you allow yourself to be the individual that you are, you have no competition. There's room for you.
You want to do better the next time than what you did the first time.
Exactly.
You
And
won't
that's
camping.
the
Yeah,
that should be the only valid competition
yeah.
that you have as an artist. Are you better than you were a year ago, 2 years ago?
And
That's what's important.
sometimes you're not better because you don't know. And remember that
Right.
you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes you're not
Exactly.
better because you don't know. But once you know, then you can look back and say, okay, now that I have these tools, let me incorporate them into my creative process, and let's put them in there, and let's make it even better for yourself first, for your creativity and all that, not for others.
And Peter says in the comments, problem is that you have to go through some competition to get some recognition, like in a piano competition. That's correct, Peter.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if you want a career as I had in academia, you better get some competition and some grants under your belt. You learn in life from different things, but I found those accolades don't make you better as an artist. Your life doesn't become about being an authentic artist. It becomes about, who do I need, what do I need to make, who do I need to
To be
please
better than the other one.
to
Yeah.
be to get this
Yeah.
next job, or get this next grant, or get, and your authentic voice gets taken out of the mix. Slowly it dies over time. My husband and I were both trying to become income self-sufficient as artists, actually make a living from what we want to create.
Mhm.
YouTube videos, cigar box guitars, performances. We
Music
we
performance.
want, yeah, we want our authentic creativity to be, and you don't need a degree for that. You don't need to win piano competitions for that. The creator economy is a real thing. There are artists out there, degreeless, not even experts at the but they have something unique to contribute in the realm of art that they create, and they're making a living on YouTube, and they're making a living creating and building things. And so that's what's great about the internet and YouTube, with all of its flaws and all of the crazy things that can happen on the internet. It has been a blessing to artists. I mean, we don't even have to cater to certain audiences. People that like what I'm doing gravitate to my channel. And so I'm just building an audience like you, out of people who appreciate what I'm already doing. And so that's just a food for thought.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, and I also tell my daughters that it is okay. By the same token, the same thing. It is okay to experience a little bit of what that competition is about, so that you can be where we are right now. So you can have that on your in backbone and say, okay, I had that experience, being there, done that, thank you. It was, I needed it to do it at that time. Win this piano competition. I remember my daughter, she was like 5 years old, she was playing the piano and they were fighting for a trophy. Who's going to play the piano better? I remember back then. And I said, you do your best. You got to do your best and you have to be better. And nowadays, I would have told her, just enjoy your moment, because she was so stressed just by sitting there in that audience and playing that piano at 5 years old. And yeah, she won the degree, a trophy and all that. But so you have to
Right.
deal with a lot of things. But in the end, go through that experience so you can talk about it like us and then say, been there.
Very true. Been there, done that. I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't have arrived at the perspective that I have now unless I've gone through the ringer of
Yeah.
doing the competitions, of winning the grants and finding out that ultimately it's all meaningless if you're pursuing the lifestyle that I'm trying to pursue, in that your art is your life and it's not just a means to getting a promotion somewhere. I really did have to go through the ringer to come to that realization. So
Yeah.
yeah. So all the experiences were valid for sure.
All the
For
experience.
sure. But it's not only about the money. As a musician, you want to move forward from playing solo to play with an orchestra. The system is like that. Only by winning competition you get a chance. That's true.
Yeah.
But the thing is, why is it the ultimate, say you're a violinist, why is it the ultimate goal to play for an orchestra? There's so much more out there that
Mhm.
you can do as an artist, as a violinist. I guess nowadays, with social media, the biggest cred you can get is to grow an audience around your work and see how many people appreciate your work. There's life beyond the orchestra. There's life beyond the system, is what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
don't have to operate within the system to be a successful artist.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what I if you like the system, and fine. I found it very hard to deal with. The nature of it, the personalities within it.
Yeah, I remember the violin teacher for my daughters. She was very young. She played in the orchestra. She was climbing up the ladder. She was teaching my daughters violin. Beautiful player. But at the same time, she would tell me all the time, now I have to go back there. I'm like, isn't that what you like to do? Yeah, but I have to deal with this and that and that and that. She was young. Years later, she said, like what I'm telling you now. Okay, I did what I had to do, been there, done that. I'm
Been
glad,
there, done
but now
that.
it's time to move on.
There's a friend of mine who says, "You know what? I've paid my dues. Now I'm going to do whatever I want." And I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
I guess the system is good to show you, I guess, what you don't want.
yeah.
You've
Or
paid
just
your dues, you've learned,
yeah,
now you can move on and do your own thing.
yeah. Or to
So
make you happy at the time that it works for you, you know. And then there comes a time in life, 2 years later, 5, 10, 20 years later, that you say, that's it, because now I have all of these ideas that I can pursue and move forward.
Peter Pepper, good comments. He says, I don't like the system, but I like Brahms' Violin Concerto in D major. How can a violin play that with no orchestra? Oh, Peter, we're
That's
getting into
your
the question of sampled orchestras and maybe AI orchestras. There's some, and I'm not advocating for replacing human ensembles, not at all. So coming from someone who's building a percussion robot. But
yeah.
I don't advocate for that, but the technology's out there. If you can experience playing the violin concerto in D major with an orchestra, maybe you can play it with something else. But the thing is, there are cultural organizations that will keep the orchestra alive. But those positions will be very coveted and very limited. And there will be many, many violinists that go out there without the experience of playing that. But what I'm saying is there are other experiences out there with how many orchestras are left and how many wonderful musicians are out there. It shouldn't be a mark of, okay, you're a failure because you didn't get into an orchestra. I mean, they're expensive to maintain. only big municipalities can have them, and a lot of talented musicians go without the experience of playing for an orchestra, and they're super uberly talented people.
There's a lot of out
There's a
there.
lot of talent and not enough work for that talent. So I wouldn't judge a violinist just because they weren't able to get into an orchestra to do that. Again, there are other places where they can exhibit their virtuosity. Maybe they'll start a string quartet.
Mhm.
Maybe they'll start an ensemble that incorporates electronics with traditional instruments. When that's where I'm at. When I was composing electronic operas, it was all about combining traditional instruments processed in real time with lighting and projection mapping that reacted to what was being played in real time, creating immersive performance environments. That's what I was into. I want to get into that again. Again, one project at a time. I got to finish
One at a time, one at a
one
time.
at a time. I'm getting ahead of myself again, but it's like,
But it will happen all the time. But as long as you go back and say, yes, I will do that, but I'm going to finish this now. So, yeah.
right. I agree with what you say, Peter. Peter says, I think if we make all the music by ourselves with no other players, just by the use of technology, then it becomes too egocentric. I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm saying you don't have to play in a huge ensemble like an orchestra where there are limited opportunities for musicians to play for orchestras, but musicians could start their own small ensembles. There's plenty of beautiful, great. In fact, let's take string quartet for example. I mean, you can show off more virtuosity in a string quartet than maybe even in a concerto if you know the repertoire. Me personally, I've been more of a chamber music person, more intimate uh uh venues where you and the musician are right there, and they're feeling your energy and you're feeling theirs, and there's a cross pollination between the musician and the audience. Those for me were the most enjoyable performances, were the small ensembles. And anyone can start their own small ensemble. Anyone can go out there if you're entrepreneurial. I was like, okay, this orchestra can't hire you. There's no room for you there. But start your own thing and grow your own audience. You don't need that cred to, first of all, make a living as an artist, or to gain credibility as an artist, because now you have these social media platforms that just open things up for you.
So
So
that's going to be another something to add to your list for next year because you can create a course teaching people how to do that.
I would love to continue to help musicians, but again, I'm still myself trying to figure out the entrepreneurial part of being an artist. Once I have a way to say this is what I did, and I don't have to work for anyone else. Right now, I do work part-time elsewhere to pay the bills, but I've given up on trying to grow my career um, as a teacher, as an academic, as a formal. I mean, I'm here teaching on YouTube, but I'm talking about as in a formal institution,
Formal, yeah.
because you know that track takes you to a certain area, and you never gain that independence. You'll always be engaging in projects that you think will help you grow in that institution. And there's something, I mean, I've always tried to compose honestly and create honest composition, but it was always in the back of my head, will this project give me more cred in this institution, and this and this. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
if you build your career, I mean, here's the thing, I don't have a career mindset anymore. I've let go of that, um, because your career can end from one day to the next. You know, you work for a company for I don't know how many years, and that institution closes and your career is over.
The only
And
thing that does not, that you have to remember and think about, that the only thing that does not close is you, your
exactly.
creativity, what you have inside, what you have to give, what you have to create and share with others. That is the only thing that will always be there.
Right, exactly right. It was important for me, and you helped me do this, Laura. You're such a good coach. Oh my gosh. You helped me do this. Let go of the career mindset.
Mhm.
It Who's going to care, um, that, in the grand scheme of things, that I became a tenured professor somewhere, teaching music composition and theory and yada, 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 accolades. Who's gonna care? Let go of that. Let go of the seeking the accolades thing, and
When you let go of that, then it'll come back in a different way. Or in that, it would not be the career approach anymore, but it'll be the Liza approach, your own approach. Because I love teaching. And even
me
though
too.
I am not at a university right now, I miss that. When I'm with my students that I tutor and all, I miss that. And my students text me all the time. They continue to through Instagram or Facebook, oh, teacher, this and that. They call me teacher, professor. And I'm like, oh, Laura, and I miss that. But I am happy and I'm glad that I am where I am. And if I need to go to a university and teach a course or something for a period of time, a short period of time, I'll be happy to do that, but I'll still be me.
It still be you.
Makes sense?
It does make sense. You saying that
Yeah.
I'm a better teacher now than I was when I had the formal title of professor, because you had to operate in a certain way that for me was inauthentic, um, with students, for example. And here online, I could just let go of that, I guess, that hierarchy, and it's like, what I like to do?
Mhm.
I like to come on and share what I know,
Mhm.
and share ideas. Me and my students, they would give me, like with your students, "Hey, miss, why don't you try this? Why don't you
Yeah.
try that?" And it's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Oh, you know how you could solve that problem for that installation you're building?" And it's like, "Oh, there's a cross pollination that happens. It's not just me giving and
Yeah.
me up here and them down here."
Right. Right.
I liked to treat my students as equals. We are both artists. I'm just a little older than you. That's it. And them being younger and I've learned about new technologies from my students,
Yeah.
new
Too.
production processes. I've learned so much from my students. It's also it's weird for me. It was weird for me and still is weird for me to call them my students, because I've learned so much from them as well.
Yeah, you
And
don't
so
call your students because you are the professor and you feel that they are just the students. I call them my students, like I call my daughters, like I call my children, like I call even my parents who teach me, who have taught me, because my students, like I always say, guys, I have learned from you too. I started Instagram, what, 15 years ago, or whatever time since we met, because of my students. I knew it existed,
right.
but I didn't know about Instagram.
Me too.
Of
Me
Instagram.
too. The same thing.
So I
It's
remember one of
crazy.
my students told me, "You are teaching social media and writing, and you don't know about Instagram, teacher?" And I'm like, "No."
Oh, it's like, oh my god. Yeah. It
Yeah, and
Man, they
I was so glad for her. I'm never gonna forget her. I'm never gonna forget. She was so honest to tell me that, and I'm like, okay, I have two choices here: to say, "Oh yeah, I know about that," or say, "Oh, teach me because I don't know anything." So I went down.
right.
I would teach me because I don't know anything about.
The best teachers are humble people that
Yeah,
are open to learning from their students.
yeah.
And for example, I've learned so much from my audience here on YouTube. When you go into my YouTube channel and you see my oh gosh, the channel trailer. Yeah, I still keep my little title in front of my name, Dr. Liza Sahil. It's like, well,
Because
it's
you should be proud of your title, Liza.
I mean, I spent so many years of my life trying to get that accolade, so I'm using it.
Yeah,
And maybe it invites people to come into my channel. It's like, "Oh, this one this one has a degree in music composition. Oh, maybe I could learn a little something about that here and there. But
Yeah.
it was never a hierarchy thing to
No, no.
put it out on my channel. It's more of a way to so that people give me a chance when they come onto my channel. And it's like, look, I've been through the ringer. I got stuff that I
Yeah.
can share. But
And
I've learned so much from my audience about playing slide guitar,
mhm.
about audio electronics, about so many things. And oh, Peter has a comment. Peter, you're on fire, Peter. Thanks. What I would like to see is the workshop becoming a hub of music, a living thing with the community around you, and you transforming the teaching to a vibe that drives that hub. Oh, Peter, I would be honored to create uh something meaningful like that. So many projects to pursue.
So many projects that we will pursue, but at, one
Right,
first and the other and then the other. Yeah.
right. This has been an immensely beautiful conversation, and I hope you guys out there watching now and in the replay get some value out of it. Those are considering new life paths as an artist, encouraging for you to see the prescribed path isn't the only way. There are other ways.
There are so many things to explore, and
Right.
also at the same time, it's not like I'm already this, I cannot be that.
Right. Right. There's a big movement towards generalization.
Yeah,
Why do
doing
we
one thing more than
Yes.
the other. Yeah. Yeah.
Why do we have to specialize in this art, in that art? If you are creative,
Oh,
I mean, it was natural for me to get into video art as a composer. Started off as a composer and then got into video art, got into interactive installations, got into building cigar box guitars, got into this.
yeah.
Why?
there
There's nothing wrong with being a generalist. Nothing
there's
wrong.
there's nothing wrong. And like when I tell people, like, I don't know if you remember this or if you know this, but I started with engineering, aerospace engineering. That was my
Yes,
degree. And I was doing a double major of aerospace engineering and Spanish literature. So I remember
incredible.
ever since then, I was 17 years old when I started college, and they used to tell me, you have to make up your mind, because for your future and your career, what do you want to do? You want to do mathematics or you want to do writing? And I always said, in my the innocence of a 17-year-old, why? But I like both, like a little girl. I like both. Why do I have to pick one candy over the other? If for
Right.
me, is everything is beautiful. And to this day, I still like both. I like my writing, and I like anything that you introduce me to in the artistic realm. And I still love physics and anything that has to do with mathematics. So why do you have to pick a specific thing? And so that's what I also tell my students. You want to be a musician, you want to be a writer, you want to be both at the same time. Well, be, just be. And of course, you have to give it time to what it deserves. Like
Of
now,
course.
that's the thing, the only thing, because we are human beings after all. So
And that's the focus part.
yeah,
One project at a time, get that done as m- best as you can. Get the most out of that project, achieve the most you can with that project. Um, Focus on it, but and then move on to the next thing, so that you build up your um your palette of creation,
of
you know?
creation. Yeah,
And
it's
so
like my Spanish here, the
yeah,
palette of creation.
exactly. Guys, um if you're if you're learning Spanish and you want an incredible read, please do check out Laura's Pasión de Vida. In the video description box, I have a link to Laura's YouTube channel, and her YouTube channel has a link to her website, and you can get a can you order a copy of Pasión de Vida
You
from
can
your
go
website?
now. That I think I'm gonna check when I leave you here, because I think that the English version is also uploaded. I think so. You can get
Oh,
it
okay.
on Amazon,
Okay.
either English or Spanish, either one. So I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy it. And then let us know what you think about it, or how can we can improve it, or for part two, what we can do. Maybe
Right.
we can.
I'm personally reading it in Spanish, although for me, again, Spanish isn't my primary language anymore. It was when I was 5 years old, not anymore. And so I'm practicing my Spanish reading Laura's Pasión en Vida de Vida in the original, in the language it was originally written in.
Yeah,
So if you're a student of Castellano, please read her Spanish
in
version.
Spanish.
It
Yeah,
is good practice, and you also get some insights into
my
the
culture.
Cuban and Colombian culture because that is your background,
Yeah,
right?
the Spanish, Cuban, Colombian. Yeah,
But if you just want a good read,
and
you
good
know,
recipes. Then
I
the English version is
the
fine as
English,
well.
there you go. So, whatever your jam is, Laura's got you covered. But please go to her channel in the video description box,
I'll send
and
you the link so you can, the link that they have now with both English and Spanish. So you can add it in there for viewers there. And don't
yeah,
forget, when you're ready again, Liza's gonna start building guitars again. You
yes, yes, I can't wait. Again, gotta get that workshop together.